Well, this growing season is quickly kind of moving past, I guess, what I would call that halfway point here as we sit in mid July. For the second year in a row, we did an average price program that gets you kind of through that end of June timeframe, that first 10 weeks. We also did a webinar discussing budgeting bushels to figure out how much per week you'd like to have sold, into that July 4th time frame. And now we're on the back half of that. So it's time to kind of reevaluate our marketing plan. And as you sit here, can you imagine yourself at harvest and where you would want to be positioned here in the grain markets? That's what we're going to look at here today. Keep in mind, everything we're discussing is for education and example purposes. Make sure you guys understand and know your own risk tolerance as we go through this information. We'll stick with our typical example of a 100,000 bushel producer, and we just want to set that budget back up for you guys just to refamiliarize yourself. And let's just say you've got that 75% revenue protection policy, so your insured bushels are about 75,000, and maybe you're 20% sold here into that 4th of July timeframe, and now we need to reevaluate the back half. We're going to use September 15th as kind of our target date, which is about 8 weeks out. So with that 60,000 insured bushels remaining, divide that over 8 weeks, you're looking at about needing to sell 7,500 bushels a week to get sold into that September 15 timeframe. Now, you can be more or less aggressive. It's certainly up to you, but this should give you a good baseline of how to reformulate your marketing plan for the back half of the year. What you might want to consider doing is something very simple, just selling some small bushel, 1,000, 2,000 bushels a week. And then if we get over a certain price point, maybe it's 4.25 for you, maybe it's 4.40, be a little bit more aggressive to start locking that up. Those of you that have on-farm storage, this is going to, help you out. We are back in more of a traditional carry market. So you should be looking at rolling any contracts ahead to capture that carry and take advantage of your storage bushels. The other thing to keep in mind is if front month rallies, you should see somewhat of a similar rally on those deferred month contracts. And so again, with that 20-cent carry here between Dece and March, give or take, if we get a pop in Dece, you should see March maybe around that 460 area, at which point you could consider making a sale. If we factor in a 25-cent basis, you've got 435 cash using that 200 bushel example. You're locking in about 870 an acre, and I think that can work for a lot of guys. So those are some of the numbers that you just need to refamiliarize yourself with and have some targets out there. If you don't have on-farm storage, our bias here always is to limit the commercial storage. Unfortunately, by the time you pay those fees, they're just going to go right to the or any carry is going to be captured by fees from commercial storage. So you're really in a no-win situation. And most likely you're just going to need to make those sales here into harvest against that harvest contract, and either look at some support areas to consider re-owning the crop or look at calls. One thing we want to point out is it's going to be a struggle to go further out and buy time. The reason being is you're just fighting the carry of the market. Put simply, you have Dece at 420. If you have March at 440, you're selling the 420. You don't want to go out and buy the 440. You're already buying higher than what you sold for. Just not a really good strategy in the long run. As we wrap this thing up, we got to start adjusting our plans for the second half of the year. Figure out how many bushels you want to be moving a week. You should have a decent idea of how your crop's looking and how aggressive you want to be. Again, as always, we got to know our numbers out there. This is a type of year where we're probably going to be holding dollars together rather than hitting some home runs. But nonetheless, have some offers above the market to take advantage of any overnight volatility and things of that nature. Remember, we want to try and capture the carry rather than fight it. And lastly, keep in mind for storage, if you have on-farm storage, use that for your logistical, decision making and making harvest easier. Don't use it to just store and ignore that we hear all the time. Okay, hedge those bushels, capture the carry, and encourage the market or challenge the market to come get some of your hedges out there when you're looking at using the carry of the market. If you're a subscriber to our report, we'll have some more information on this coming out to you. If you're not a subscriber, we have a link below to get a free trial. Be sure to check that out. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We always enjoy making this content for you.